something like mini golf will continue to do very well in those types of environments because the family can still stay together, with that. Hi, I'm Russ.
And I'm Danny.
And this is the Memory Makers Podcast,
the show that helps you create amazing customer experiences and make more memories.
Memory Makers Podcast. Going back to an oldie but a goodie.
I mean, with how many episodes we've done, your jingles are going to have to start repeating at some point.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what that one is from. Like, it's like it's some kind of cereal or coffee, I'm sure, from from my childhood. But yeah, we'll start doing some safe auto and some other stuff. Memory makers, memory makers. But jingles Excellent. Aside, how are you, my man?
I am good. I'm good, and I'm ready to talk about today's topic because, as you'll kind of talk about here at the beginning, mini golf. Mini golf is, for a couple of years now, been very hot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to go ahead and say it because every time that we talk about this topic and I say mini golf is so hot right now, Russ just imagines in his mind from Zoolander, and that Hansel is so hot right now from Mugatu, is that his name?
Yes, yeah, for sure. So what doesn't make me smile as much is that when I'm now realizing that all of my movie references that I go to, are like whether it's Mean Girls or this or any of them, they're all like 20 plus years at this point. So we're enjoying the wisdom that's coming with the age, at least. So
the files are in the computer.
Yeah,
we could go down a path of quoting this for too long, so we'll just transition, segue. Russ, hit us with the topic.
This mini golf's so hot right now. I love it. Not a surprising piece where, as we look at mini golf, it's been around for 120 years, right? And it's something that has always been very accessible to audiences. What has changed, I think, over the more recent piece where we're seeing not necessarily a rapid increase, but just one of these spikes from the overall kind of relatively high numbers, is that mini golf is very inclusive. It's accessible for any and all age ranges, and it's easy to understand, and fun. And it leans into that easy to learn, hard to master, right? And so there's always new ways that you can get better with your game. And things along those lines. So it's a very accessible, it's very group friendly, and is kind of at the core when we talk about things being story driven, immersive, and social. It's always had those three elements to it. But as we'll talk about later on in the episode, the immersive levels that are coming with it these days, depending on the type of experience that you want, are really ratcheting it up. And I think that this is much more where we're seeing, okay, because we can use, whether it's new technology or staff engagement or other things like that, the immersive level of the gameplay of where mini golf is versus where it was even 10 years ago is dramatically different, which is why it's getting such a renewed, kind of spike in its popularity.
And you had mentioned there that mini golf is inclusive. And I draw a lot of parallels between mini golf and bowling because they're both very inclusive activities that anyone from 5 to 95 can participate in. I will make a recommendation for our listeners that we did an episode not too long ago about identifying your target demographic, because what can end up happening at times is, well, I have bowling or I have mini golf and it's great for everyone, so our audience is everyone. But if you are trying to be all things to all people, you're special to nobody. And we get into some of the background and stories on how to be able to set a primary target demographic and the good results that can come from that. So highly recommend checking out that episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to hit on a couple of factors beyond what you had just mentioned about some of the technology and the immersiveness, and we'll give specific examples of that in just a moment. I wanted to hit on some of the other variables that have contributed to mini golf being at a really big peak right now. And so there's a few of them that have all happened over the last few years that coincide with this. Number one, there was the Holy Moly TV show that launched in 2019. So taking this activity, this attraction that is a fan favorite for a long time, and putting it on cable television in this really dramatic and gigantic way, that helped be able to pique some interest among people. And then COVID hit. And as the industry overall was in the recovery period from COVID, there were certain attractions that tended to do well during that recovery time. And mini golf was one of them. And part of the reason is because when I play mini golf, I've got me and my one friend or my three friends, whatever it is, and we're going to stick together in our individual group as we go through the course. So it's kind of got this small group mentality built into it, and you can spread out across a mini golf course, and it helped flow through that kind of uncertain time that we were all facing and trying to make our businesses work and figure out a way to get more customers in the door and give them these experiences. And then there's also investment from really big names in golf. You look at Rory McIlroy, and he's one of the investors in the Puttery, which is kind of an upscale social entertainment type of facility geared toward active adults as a big part of their audience. You've also got YouTubers. Brooks Holt is a friend of Creative Works, and he's been able to kind of record videos on a couple of courses that we've done, but he has over 380,000 subscribers on YouTube. And what he does, he goes to mini golf courses all over the country and all over the world and plays them and just records him playing it. And people love watching it and engaging with his content. And then aside from the mini golf side, if we just kind of take a step back and look at golf in general, you've got Top Golf growing in popularity and bringing the coolness factor to a driving range. And then you also have more recently the TGL launch with that indoor golf league, then all the technology that they've brought in and making the sport of golf more accessible in a very different way to a live audience. And so all those factors, I think, have led to mini golf being the strongest place maybe it's ever been right now.
Yeah, and I would also, factor in, even especially when we get into kind of the peaks and valleys of different economic climates. One of the things where we will see mini golf go through some additional spikes is, hey, if the disposable income is a little bit more spread out, families are still coming out because our industry is very, recession resistant, right? But so when and how those families are coming out, if mom and dad and the kids are all looking for an activity to do, they want things that they're going to do together. And mini golf is one of those things where mom is going to be more inclined and able to play with the group, where she may not always be playing laser tag every single time or other attractions like that. So to your point, Danny, it's also consumer behaviors as well as the outside influence that when we see some, plateauing across secondary attractions, something like mini golf will continue to do very well in those types of environments because the family can still stay together, with that. And it's an extension of what you had mentioned as the COVID part, but it's also just a normal, kind of ebb and flow of how the disposable income and the economy and things like that look like. It's something that mom's going to say, hey, if we're going to go out and we're going to spend this money, totally fine to do it. But when we're there, we're going to pick activities that really help keep us together and keep that social factor in play. And I think the other part of it is that, indoor mini golf has evolved dramatically, especially over the last 15 years, right? Where that was, you were seeing some things like blacklight indoor mini golf, but it wasn't nearly as prevalent as it is today, where now it's much more dramatic because you have more of these immersive scenes, and you have more environments that are creating some more of the oohs and ahs, right? Outdoor mini golf always been very popular. It's a lot of space, and it can require a lot of architectural landscaping to create some of those terrains and the variances and all of that. Where indoor mini golf, especially within a blacklight thematic environment, now we have a much, denser environment, whether through mirror works and props, like the immersion of the storytelling that we can do now with that is so much more than what it was 15 years ago, which I think, again, as folks are playing this experience and doing it, there are new things to surprise and delight them as they come around corners or they see really fun props, a lot of Instagrammable moments that come through the evolution of blacklight golf over the last 10 or 15 years especially.
Yeah, and when we talk about these key milestones in recent history that has helped indoor mini golf specifically evolve, you talked about blacklight, and the next piece as part of that is what we happen to at CreativeWorks call electric edging. Different manufacturers have different names for it. But essentially for a long time, indoor mini golf, the edging around every hole was some sort of kind of paver, some concrete paver type thing to keep the ball within the bounds of the hole because it would bounce really well, very readily available, and then they would be painted. And it worked for a long time, but it could have been more and it could have been better. And that's at CreativeWorks, we saw an opportunity. And so we developed electric edging, which replaces all of that static brick with essentially plastic molded pieces that have LED lights that run through all of them. And then every one of the holes are all connected via DMX. And so you can have triggers on holes that if someone gets a very specific shot or gets the hole in one over here or any type of trigger within the hole, you can then trigger an entire show throughout the whole course where the entire course lights up and there's sound effects, and it makes it more of an exciting piece that takes something that was very static at the time and no one ever thought twice about, because it's okay, well, that's just the thing holding the ball within the bounds of the hole. And then we made it part of the experience by saying that if you're going to hit your ball a certain way, if you're going to get the special shot, if you're going to get the hole in one, we want to trigger an entire scene to make it exciting throughout the whole course. And then it can also be changing colors at times. And if you want to run special events, you can with specific kind of colors. There's all kinds of cool things that you can do when it comes to having a piece like electric edging built into an indoor mini golf course.
Yeah, not only was that a good piece of tech that just, again, made the environment feel a little bit more elevated from an operational perspective. If I'm going to do changes to my course layout, over time, something like electric edging where you're not liquid nailsing that down to the floor, right, where that's tapping down, it's easier to maintain over time. Hey, I can, being intentional with technology and choosing the spots of where and how we're integrating that, where, hey, the molded plastic is really robust. I remember when we were first starting with that, standing on top of them, jumping up and down, pickaxing it with the putter, really trying to put it through its wear and tear and stress and abuse. But then also, hey, if I'm reorienting this, like now I can have my entire golf course pre-carpeted and then put these things on top of it instead of, hey, I'm liquid nailsing these down, I've got to bring in a carpet subcontractor to be able to cut and shape and do all of these kind of crazy things. So not only did it add, a groovier piece of tech that helped with what the experience was, but the lifetime of the course a little bit easier when we want to make changes down the line and breathe new life into it as well. I think other examples where we've seen mini golf continue to embrace intentional technology is looking at things like CGI content or digital content made in with interactive scenes. So just like Danny was talking about with electric edging, hey, we have a sensor here. It can create some flash and some movement within the electric edging bricks. We can also trigger that to have a projected scene play. So this goes through a prop. It's next to a really sexy Jaguar on a Jeep, and then now we can have some ambient movement happening within the murals where it's blended and looks like that, or it can be something on the final hole to create this spectacle of what the culmination of the experience is. And so some of my favorites that we've done with this are things like Rainforest Blacklight Cafe that's down in Panama City, Florida, where this giant Tyrannosaurus Rex, not Tyrannosaurus Rex, our designers were very specific when I kept calling it a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but then having different scenes played depending on, did you get the hole in one, did you get the consolation hole, and what's there, so that way, hey, somebody comes up and plays that hole, they make the hole in one, they get the butterflies and the defeated roar of the Tyrannosaurus kind of stomping off back away, and you're not getting eaten. Or if you don't make the hole in one, then it's a big meteor shower coming down and creating those just different reactions within the same hole that you can have that are going to be that surprise and delight factor. And so having more of those types of things spread throughout the course. One, we have some clients where they want just some moving content up on the walls that doesn't have to be triggered, but that visual texture creates, again, a more immersive environment. And then we also have the ability to make that very engaged straight off of the gameplay as well. So to me, that is a piece of tech where, when intentionally used right, is awesome. And so it can really, again, just be something new, right? As the sophisticated palates of our customers are elevated, and we need to be able to compete with what's on the screen, but, have them in a social environment where we can facilitate some of that ooh and ah and the surprise and the delight. We're also not, going so overboard with tech where, okay, how do I manage this? And how do I keep this running and moving in a way that's sustainable for what we need from an operations standpoint?
And for those who are listening, whether it's Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere else, and aren't watching the video, every one of our podcast episodes goes on a blog post on our website, wearecreativeworks.com. We'll make sure we drop a couple pictures just related to a couple things that we're talking about, because it helps everything make a bit more sense when you can attach a visual to it.
Big time.
And so when we then look at the next milestones, we move out of blacklight golf and into simply new forms of indoor mini golf. So there's really two of them I want to hit on. Number one is what I'll describe as tech-driven mini golf. At CreativeWorks, our product is called Lucky Putt. And traditional mini golf, you've got a little scorecard, you got a little pencil, you're tracking, oh, this was 2 strokes, this was 3 strokes, it's all manual. All that's worked for a long time. We wanted to automate the system, and we wanted to gamify the experience a little bit more. And so the way that Lucky Putt works, there is no scorecard, there's no pencils. Everything scores automatically based upon every person has their own putter registered to themselves. And when you check in at a hole, you're able to go through and complete that hole. And then you don't get 2 or 3 or 4 strokes, you get 4,000 or 5,000 points, right? And you get bonus points for certain shots, or you get detracted for hitting hazards. And there's a couple different ways that the point values accumulate over time. And that allows people to not have to worry about keeping track of the score, not having to worry about any of that, and really focusing on the social and fun side of this aspect of being around other people. It also works really great if you do a lot of group or corporate events, because typically in golf, you start at hole 1 and then go to hole 2 and then 3 and so on. But with Lucky Putt, because it's all automatically scored and tracked for you, you can start at any hole and do the holes in any order. And so you can bring in a group of 50 people and put them onto a course and let them all start at the same time on different holes. And there are every one of the areas where you scan your putter to start the hole as a drink stand, so that it incorporates being able to sell maybe food and beverage while people are playing. And it gives it more of that kind of lounge type feel. Essentially, it's like Top Golf for mini golf is a really great way to describe what Lucky Putt is. Mm-hmm. And then another one of the new forms of golf, and this really leans on the social side, is, and for those of you listening, you're going to kind of get some of the first announcements about this, because it's not even on our website really yet. But so surprise, it's boutique golf. And that's what we're calling this product. Essentially, we've taken the idea of, some people want blacklight. Some people want tons of technology built in, like Lucky Putt has, but some people don't want blacklight and they don't want technology. They want something that's maybe a bit more upscale feeling with premium finishes. And that's where we created boutique golf. And there's a lot of different types of finishes that we can put on there through the interior decor and some of the architectural pieces. But I could describe this all day long. The best thing that I can do is drop a picture within that blog post, but it really allows us to remove the technology and all those pieces and simply create an environment that is all about social interaction among primarily will be adult customers. Now, of course, kids and families will enjoy this product too, just like they'll enjoy Lucky Putt as well. But I think so many venues that want to be able to bring in adult groups, that want to be able to bring in the active adults and the group events and the corporations, and all those different things are also going to love this idea of what boutique golf is, and the way that it looks, and some of the finishes, and how the whole thing just blends into the overall aesthetic and design of your overall facility. Really, really excited about this one.
Yeah, and the social competition aspect, and what's really driving that, and what really formed what this boutique version of golf is is, creating dynamic play within the course, right? So it used to be for a long time, because people didn't want to have to deal with sloped concrete and doing a lot of that expensive indoor build out when they were bringing this in, because you weren't, outdoor, you're dealing with earth moving and creating these terrains and these drops. With Lucky Putt and then with Boutique, both having more of those elevations that you're putting up into, and creating where, hey, the ball's going left and right, it's going up and down, and it's requiring some finesse on how you're going to approach that hole, really helps bring out the social nature of what the experience is, because there's more trash talking. There's, excuse me, I get so excited. There's more opportunities to have different results on the hole. So not only is the course more repeatable, so you're wanting to come back and play more often, because, hey, the last 2 times that I've played this course, I've gone for like this super hard, difficult route. I'm going to go the easy one on this one. And then, it allows you to kind of change up your style of play, just because there's inherently more options that happen with it. And that's such a critical part to the social nature of, are we going to do this? And then are we going to do it again? Because it inherently has design to that end for us to come and enjoy it multiple times over. So the social competition side is huge. I think another aspect of the social competition and entertainment is really looking at how your staff is engaging with the players on the course. And whether you see things like Monster Mini Golf do an awesome job with this, where they've got a DJ out on the course, they're creating a vibe and an atmosphere beyond the theming that is going on within that course. You look at how your staff members are kind of walking the course, making sure that there's safe gameplay going on, and that 6-year-olds aren't using the putter as a baseball bat or a crowbar to try to, go ham on some of the props. But then they're also encouraging them to be a little silly and be a little goofy and spinning that, wheel where it's, hey, this hole, you're going to be putting backwards on one leg, with your eyes closed, and getting folks to embrace the fun and the whimsy of what that can be. And all of that helps create, a physical and mental connection to the social experience, which is then what's going to make the powerful memory that folks are looking to achieve, and why mini golf can do that. Because a DJ and a kick and sound system, some additional special effects elements, as well as engagement with your staff, like those are the things that really drive the social nature of what that experience can be, and will continue to make it something really, excuse me, again, really something dynamic and different than what they've had on previous mini golf experiences. So between all of that, what we've covered today, and I'm going to wrap us up, Danny, unless you have any final thoughts, would be just, hey, mini golf's so hot right now. It's really exploding beyond its normal level of success because of the story-driven, social, and immersive nature. It's got that social competition, which is so critical, and it's something that continues to evolve and blend technology to create better call and response, more triggerable things. It's just a more relevant experience than it had been 15 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up.
I love it. So we've got more awesome content coming your guys' way through the weekly episodes. So be sure to hit back on the channel, and we will always, excuse me again, bringing more interviews with operators and industry experts, and Danny and I waxing on about entrepreneurial, insights as we get them.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review and give Russ a throat lozenge.
Yes, please and thank you. And we'll also take a 5 stars if we've earned it.
If you got any ideas for future episodes, topics, or guests, follow us on social media, send us a DM.
And as always, big shout out to Mikey Mike on the 1s and 2s working the Ultranet for us. And thank you all for joining us, and we will see you on the next one, troublemakers.
Yeah, it sounded like you needed the cough.
We were really holding that one in for a while. Good. I get so excited. My makeshift fidget spinner, Danny. You know what's funny is that I feel like those evil villains where you, like the Bond villain with the cat and everything, like that was just their version of a fidget spinner. Positive energy. Mikey Mike, I'm ready. Are you?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.